today, what's happening to me is just a bunch of mind games and trickeries and thought process that just rewired. And these clowns that try to gaslight me and try to make me subscribe to this manipulation. And it's so sad. It's not, well, let me just say this. It's not so sad. It's so moronic. And they're doing everything possible to gaslight me into accepting this thing. It is annoying. It is very agitating, if anything. It pushes you to stupidity and illogicalness, and they really want you to identify with this bullshit. Listen, they are trying to utilize whatever they can and falsify, however they can falsify things to make me identify with this current experiences that I'm experiencing today. One of my favorite show of all time is Game of Thrones. Like many, classic show, and I love that show. Now these clowns here, which let me just be clear who I'm calling the clowns. When you're a target individual, what's happening is you're a test subject. The government is utilizing you to develop technology that can be rewiring of the mind and also destructive of your body. They use this technology as a weapon. For example, my body is being destroyed, ravaged, but it's at a slow pace. And then they have these people implementing these things onto you, but they also have an ecosystem around you that's supposed to break you down, and and make you accept this manipulation. And I'm supposed to think that there's their research and they have evidence that there's just a research, and they try to figure you out, and they just put together things they can to make you subscribe to these things. They have no shame. Then they have like clowns who just like go through their scripts of things they try to put together, and it's just like supposed to be the evidence that they're now manipulating my brain, and they truly have no shame of how stupid they have to be. They have no shame of how dumb they look, and really want you to identify with this stupidity by the way they behave. And they're trying to like gaslight you in ways like, yeah, there's something there. We did our investigation. We saw how you saw this here, and with this, and then they really are wanting you to be this fucking retarded. Excuse my language, but they want you to be extremely mentally challenged. And they're telling you today that they are framing you with children. As today, what's happening to your brain is being manipulated. They force you to get sexual arousals, and they want you to identify with these manipulations. And to even validate that they're manipulating you, they're telling you we're also having children act like they're getting raped. And we have these evidences, and they're put together. All right, here's the evidence now they're bringing it up. Listen, I've watched Game of Thrones since day one. Now, it's a long show. It started in 2011. It's like almost an 8-9 years old like season. And so they're trying to play with me. This is her name is Sansa Stark, one of the main character here, right? Obviously, when the show started, she was much younger. She was like a teenage kid. But by the end of the show, she was an adult. I remember even seeing her when I was traveling to Canada in Montreal. And she was with her, I think she was dating, she was actually engaged or dating the Jonas brother guy. I remember me and my girlfriend looked at her and was like, oh my gosh, we start following her. It's like, we're fans. Now, they try to mess with me. Because when I'm thinking of her, I'm not thinking of her like in season 1. When she's like a little girl. I actually forgot how young she looked when she started the show. I'm thinking about her toward the end or the middle or something like that, around that time. The show goes all the way back to 2011, so they make me think, yeah, you always thought of her like in this way. Does she look this way? It's like, yeah, because in my mind that's what she looks like. But I forgot that in 2011 that's how young she was and what she looked like, because the seasons are so long that started from 2011 to 2019. And by 2019 she's an adult who's, I think, even married to the Jonas brother. So what they do is like they try to play with me. It's like, yeah, they try to make me think of like, because there's like sex scenes and whatnot. It's like, oh, there, you thought she was there in this way. It's like, in my mind, it's like, yeah, because I'm thinking of her when she's already an adult in the show, because the show is long. She started as a kid and ended the show as an adult. And I completely forgot how young she looked in the first season. And this is the evolution of this Sansa. From the beginning to how it ends. Beginning being like a really young teenager, and the end being, I think, in the late 20s or so, or around that. And so they tried to make it now, but there, it was like, Jesus. And they tried to use like this evidence. You see, you saw her like that's like no here, not in the season one. I actually forgot how young she looked in season one. I'm thinking of her when she's like an adult already. I had to go back, take a screenshot of the evolution, because in my mind I'm just thinking of her like overall when she's already an adult. Not when she's looking like that, but she's clearly looking like a kid. I'm thinking of her when she's already like, you know, the this queen and just like this, and she's already like a, you know, woman. These clowns would sure, and they like, yeah, we have that evidence. You want her? That's proof, because they're having kids pretend to get raped. That's like delusional trash. You think I'm thinking of as Sansa or whatever this character was when she at that point? And of course, these clowns, we have no shame. When I say they have no shame, I'm not saying the shame of like doing harmful things to people. I'm not saying that kind of shame. That is not. It doesn't. I don't care about that. You do your foulness, do your foulness. But I'm talking about the shame of like people who don't care how stupid they look. They don't care. They don't care that we look like clowns, and as clowns, we have to gaslight him. And he's the type of guy who's not gonna be like, oh no, guys, please, let's make sense of this. No, I'll put that in their faces. Or I'll put this retard in it. It's like you an idiot. You think this is what of course you know what I'm thinking about. But of course I know you know that. And I know your damn ass have no shame that you utilize this type of like rewiring and mind games to validate you. And you know damn well that I'm gonna put that in your face. You know I have no. I will put the shame that you should have for being such an idiotic human being into your face. You hear the nose campaign. This is a sirens. Those are sirens. To try to gaslight me like that. This is the investigative work of their research. Clowns. To try to gaslight me into this. Tiger Mitchell, you gotta be strong. And in my brain, it's like, you know, this show has been so long that I'm thinking of like in the middle, or like in the halfway, or like almost. I don't even remember what she looked like when this season started. I didn't even, I was like, oh my gosh, she was that young when she started, because I'm thinking of her like when she was already an adult, already like young adult and all that. No, these clowns here. I'm not here to explain myself. I understand that these trash know the reality of things. Their job is to design the reality the way they will need to, because they are researchers. And they're supposed to create these mental battles and having retard kids that don't live. They don't live in reality. They designed this to a retardation of reality and fully commit to it. And on top of that, they want you to subscribe to that and live by it too. This is going to be a problem. You see the discrepancy they have in their reality? They think that they can paint the stupidity of reality. I'm going to be with them. Oh my gosh, you got the slim dances. And they're going to come and walk there. And they really think, I swear to God, these kids participate. That's the purpose. The government is contracting actually children too, by the way. They really think, and they start walking like, yeah, you see, we had this evidence. Like, yeah, you see that Sansa. Like, they go by it. If you watch one of my video when you see kids that are there in the restaurant where I'm supposed to be framed by them, this little kid really thinks she has a shot here. She really, like, I'm like, are you this people, this child person that was in. So I went on a date last weekend with a woman who's about 3 years older than me. I was on a date. I realized, oh my gosh, behind me there's this teenage kid who's like 14. I don't even know, like very young, like not even like barely teenager, like early teenager, full of makeup. Oh God. And she had like attitudes. She was like almost like she was jealous that I was on a date with this woman. And she was like, mad. I'm like, what? And I'm like, these people are so committed in that character that they really think it's real. Because apparently I'm being framed with children and we're in communication. And apparently I'm in a relationship with a child here. Disgusting trash. And I won't be surprised if this kid is so in tune with the character that she sees me with a woman, a grown woman, and she have actual attitude. Like we actually are in a relationship. This retard, they've created this together. I'm not involved in this nastiness. Oh, if this retard come near me acting like she will get slapped like there's no tomorrow. And so she act like she's had attitude, like she was actually jealous. I'm like, these retards are really committed to this retardation. I'm like, yo, first and foremost, stay there. Let me just make sure I take a picture of this. And that's what you're saying. This kid has like eyelashes bigger than her head. Makeup of just like, ugh. So these people really commit the stupidity that they create. And they have these children really thinking it's real. Like, because they put this kind of evidence together. And they come up with, no, they are tracked. And then they come up with the other thing. Now, Snapchat, remember, 2014, you follow this person. It's stupid. They are clowns. And they're really having these retards thinking that makes sense. Let me say this. It is so bad. And they really think, I'm like, you guys are so sad and pathetic that you're now utilizing Game of Thrones. Try to kind of make things out together between the beginning of the show and then with Sansa, the queen of the whatever, I forgot the Starks. And be like, it's just the evidence of my research. You're a bunch of retarded researchers. Is obviously clearly try to paint you in ways that's negative. They're framing me and kids, and these kids are staying character, by the way. They don't understand, like, you bring this fucking retard in this method acting in my way. I would swear to God she'll wake up in reality. And these clowns here are actually the bottom feeder for these pedophiles. This pathetic lowlife that don't have no self-respect and think, oh, you did that to the wrong person, because I love to put the fucking retardation in people's face. Target individuals, excuse my language, but the perps around you are some human clowns that just love what they're involved in and don't care how fucking dumb they be. And I love to put that in their faces because I have nothing to lose. If it makes me suffer more, okay, dumb fuck, look at what you had to living life doing. And then be like, it's just the evidence, it's our evidence, not there. And they try to make me think, okay, maybe not season 1, was it season 2, 3, 4? Because, you know, you can see the transition. Clearly, Sansa becomes, a good-looking woman. But they're like, no, but when did you start seeing that? Is there? Clown. Is it when there was that sex in there, this and that? I was like, Jesus. And try to play with my brain, like, no, okay, maybe she's that day, but there you start. Okay, she stupid. Yeah, you dumb fuck. You're just putting the story, I know who I am. You're not gonna make me subscribe with the Sansa Stark from Game of Thrones. And your evidence are clearly, obviously, this. And I love to, when they use this kind of evidence, oh my gosh, let me highlight and embellish this fucking evidence, this stupidity. Add more credibility to your researchers. And I know, you know how they try to make you subscribe to this? It's the way they say these things. It's just evidence. Yeah, I was like, these clowns came and said Roy Moore, I picked up you little kids from 14-year-old kids, but they have Game of Thrones are the evidence that they manipulated. How embarrassing is this shit? Like, you think I'm gonna put that in your face till I die? It's okay, death comes to all of us. I could have lived my life being, it's our evidence. Sansa Stark. They forget these fuckers are gonna die too. And while you live your fucking your best life, look at how dumb you had to make yourself be. Listen, I know they're not this retarded. What I'm saying is, they think that their gaslighting tactics, the way they behave, is gonna really make me think of the stupidity. Oh my gosh, they did that to the wrong person, because somebody like me love to I love to put that in people's face who have no. I love the fact that they make me feel like such a genius. And I'm going to look at you for the clown as you are. As I'm listening, blasting the entities behind this program with the issue of pedophilia and what they're doing to children. While clowns like you guys are like, evidence. Game of Thrones. What? You should see when they come and deliver stuff. I'll blast with the reality in there while these people are here talking about their evidences. You know how magical it is? I'm like, phew. And hey, if I wanted to shut them down, listen, this man whose name is Roy Moore, listen, has nothing to do with me. Why do I keep bringing that name? For me, that was a blessing. Because when you see these clowns and how committed they are to this character, and you see how they behave when I say that name, it is such an amazing view. It's like I said, a magical name, like a spell, and you see how the spell impacts them. The man Roy Moore, this name, the only reason why I know this name is because the people who put me in this program donate money to this man after the allegations. Okay, the allegation was, and he was running to be a governor in Alabama. Almost won, by the way. But the allegation was so disturbing. And some other allegation consists of raping 14-year-old kid, being banned from the YMCA, or sexually assaulting 14-year-old kid, being banned from the YMCA, the mall, while he was an assistant DA. Things of like calling the high school, because he was like an assistant DA, influenceable person. He could call the high school, like, hey, can you get this kid from this? Okay, those kind of allegation. The employer who put me in this program donate money to him to run for governor after the allegation, by the way. Now, today, I said like, yeah, we have the evidence. Even before I knew that these entities, mess with me, these entities had this issue. I always knew that the people who put me in this program had something to do with me. Sorry, the people I used to work for had to do something with me being in this I knew it's like something. I knew it came from there. I knew how influenced they were. They were already in the New York Times for the people that you don't know but are very powerful. I knew they're the one responsible for what is happening to me today. But then on top of that, I find out that not only these people have this issue with saying the name of this pedophile or alleged pedophile, but the entities behind this program, the Department of Defense, have been known consistently for child porn trafficking. And it's a bill created. This is not some conspiracy theory. It's not one of those crazy. It's reality. It's a bill that's been introduced in the House and the Senate because of the nastiness that DOD employees were doing with their computers. Now, with all of that, and I hear this evidence, somebody like me, I will put that in their faces, and when they send these retards that feel empowered because they're evidences and they live within these evidences. First of all, I show how clown like they are, how delusional this trash are. Like, look at you, look at me, you dumbass. You Game of Thrones, Sansa Stark, you fucking. Okay. Hey, sacrifice this retards for the show. And for the parents who allows their kids to be utilized in this fashion, this is the evidence. These investigators that have a problem with this investigation stuff. It's amazing. And they're like, no, it's the research. It's the process of the research. Shut up. You just try to paint me the way you're gonna frame me. You're just utilizing me as a test subject. The evidence of the entities running this program have shown to have a problem that's consistent. You're the clowns who love this program because you can feel like gods as they manipulate me. They've been manipulating me throughout. They're so disgusting. Rewiring my brain and having this retards try to gaslight me. And I love when every time I go out, I blast the reality of what these people are. There were sirens and things of that nature. It's like a clown. You guys are here working for pedophiles. You can't even say the name. I say the name Roy Moore. You should see how they say his name. Going back to that, by the way, the reason why Roy Moore is such a mystic name here, it's like a spell, I'm saying. I don't know if they're not allowed to say his name in certain ways. Maybe it can cause them to have trouble, and I'm talking about the perps participating in this. But when I say that name in front of them, you should see how they react. You see, I mean, it's scary. Like, this thing scared me about him. It's like, this Roy Moore person, man, he must be really somebody. Like, he all this allegation, people, that's a name that you're scared to say. And they say his name when I don't pay attention, and in other ways, it's like they have a loud way of saying it, and it's just like a loophole of how they can say his name. Like a name. Like a first and last name in America. And to solve that, and what they have, their evidence. I'm like, okay. Hey, flourish in those evidence. I'm gonna embarrass you with reality. This is the credibility this purpose should have. And for these retards who are committed to this character, I'm telling you, reading between the lines, I am not going to be a nice guy. It's going to be a problem one way or another. And these kids are really going to see that. It's like, oh my gosh, you see Sansa. They start walking themselves. Like, yeah. Because some clown is like, yeah, no, we have evidence. Like, okay, do these things over there. You come near me. This is something, it's a frame. It's not real. This kid that was having attitude, as if like she was actually jealous, like we're in a relationship, and she's like, oh my gosh, it was some idol. God. I'm like, yo, who's guys? It's probably these people over there putting battery in her. I guess, and I know who is pushing them to think that this makes sense, huh? Oh, I love to put them in the faces, the clown trash. Talking me just stay strong and see this trash for what they are. All the evidences, I will put that in front of them. And then I'll put the reality of what they're part of. And when they come in front of me, I'm not even trying to say that to warn them in the sense of threatening them. But I'm like, it's gonna happen. I've been consistent about it. Thomas, I can just stay strong.
There are conspiracy theories. For that, we're not going to get graphic or anything, but we're just going to talk about what some of these allegations are. And really, the big story behind this CIA report, well, one of the stories is the lack of story. The fact that BuzzFeed reported on this, good for them. But obviously, it was covered up by intelligence agencies and it has not been reported on widely. The Federalist reported on it. Some other journalists talked about it, but you probably didn't even hear about it. I only heard about it the other day, several days after it had been originally reported. And the fact that this isn't a huge bombshell that everyone is talking about is really disturbing. What is it? Are we just used to this kind of child sexual abuse? Has it become normalized? Has it become sterilized in some way that we just don't really want to talk about it? I do also wonder if any mention of pedophilia in the ranks of the intelligence world or in the ranks of the government or in the powers that be has been so cleverly associated with conspiracy theory over the past several years. And part of it is because there are conspiracy theorists like QAnon conspiracy theorists who push ridiculous things that have also made it more difficult for people to raise actual allegations of pedophilia and sex trafficking and child sex abuse. But I do wonder if some propagandists in the media have done such a good job of tying any allegations of sex trafficking and pedophilia to conspiracy theories that most people just don't want to talk about it because they don't want to be seen as some Pizzagate QAnon person. And that in itself is evil. But the fact of the matter is that this is something that is going on. This is something that has gone on. So the loss of credibility that intelligence agencies have garnered over the past several years is something that they have brought on themselves. And this is the straw on the camel's back.
Experimental fact. Frog muscle contract physical.
The child porn on the Pentagon servers.
Come on.
Bro, supposedly they found more child porn on the Pentagon servers than they found on any servers,
Could there be
consistently watched
space however you want, and you certainly don't have the right to use it in a criminal manner. So essentially, this bill is trying to
is a shameful disgrace, and one we must fight head-on, Spanberger said in a statement. According to child pornography watchdog Internet Crimes Against Children Child Online Protective Services, the Defense Department network consistently ranks in the top tier of Internet service providers for trafficking child pornography. It ranked 19th of nearly 3,000 networks surveyed in 2018. Meta
Agency. Others also work at this, for instance, the National Security Agency, the National Reconnaissance Office, and the very secretive Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency. Others also work.
Two-year-old and a 6-year-old. He was simply fired. One employee purchased sexually explicit videos of young girls filmed by their mothers. He resigned. One employee estimated that he had viewed up to 1,400 sexually abusive images of children while on agency assignments. Not sure what actions, if any, were taken by him. One contractor arranged for sex with an undercover FBI agent. I think that you mentioned that. Posing as a child, he had his contract revoked. One CIA staffer was charged with child sexual crimes, and the employee was also under investigation for mishandling classified material. But sexual crimes involving children, says BuzzFeed, including the viewing of images of abuse, have been uncovered at other agencies that handle sensitive information. In a November 2009 report, the Department of Defense acknowledged that dozens of Pentagon staff members or contractors had such images. In 2014, the Inspector General of the Intelligence Community found that two officials from the National Reconnaissance Office, which oversees America's spy satellites acknowledge viewing images of child sexual abuse during polygraph examinations. This is so disturbing. At a symposium in 2016, Daniel Payne, a top Pentagon security official, said that when workers' computers were examined, the amount of child porn I see is just unbelievable. Is this something that is happening in the general evil?
Allie, we're told, and when I was put through recruitment into the intel community, you're put through polygraphs, you're put through a rigorous selection process. Why aren't these people weeded out? Why are so many pedophiles allowed to be given top level security clearance? Remember, these aren't just people walking in off the street and saying, hey, can I get hired? Can I get a job? You're put through an extremely rigorous background check screening process. It's called an SSBI, single scope background investigation. There are people, they interview you, they interview your family, they interview your contacts, they go through your online footprint, they go through everything. So why is it that when they're going through these footprints, they're not checking these digital footprints, they're not checking for so many pedophiles getting through their ranks? If it were up to me, you need to go into Congress, and Congress needs to launch a brand new church committee, number one, to talk about domestic surveillance operations, but number two, to ask the question, why are there so many pedophiles sitting behind
the CIA raping children and sexually assaulting children, and they're not being prosecuted? Where are you?
Has come under investigation for links to the proliferation of graphic material. Called Project Flicker, some 5,000 individuals have been identified as having subscriptions to child porn sites, including many DoD-affiliated persons. So this ongoing national investigation has now prompted the House to introduce a bipartisan bill that would help the DoD stop the use of its network to, quote, possess, procure, or produce child pornography. Joining us to discuss this, investigative journalist Ben Swan. So Ben, the Pentagon already takes measures to limit worker access to stuff like porn by rolling out what they call the personal electronic device PED policy, where workers have to drop off their phones and lockers before entering their offices. All their online searches are accessible by security if or when needed. Their Wi-Fi access is monitored in digital security sweeps. So how is this happening?
Well, it's happening because even though there is a certain amount of limitation on access, those who are working in the Department of Defense, clearly it appears to be thousands of individuals in the Department of Defense, are finding ways around this, specifically by using the Department of Defense IP addresses and also apparently peer-to-peer sharing within the department's network. So this study that was done on this issue, and it is pretty horrifying, Manila, to consider this. It shows that the Department of Defense ranked 19th out of almost 3,000 networks in terms of peer-to-peer sharing of child pornography. That is absolutely incredible. This bill attempts to essentially say, look, we're not doing enough to stop it from coming in, but we're also not doing enough in the Department of Defense to go after those individuals who are being recognized as the ones who are perpetrating this.
So Congresswoman Abigail Spanberger is the co-author to this bill. She said this, quote, the notion that the Department of Defense's network and Pentagon-issued computers may be used to view, create, or circulate such horrifying images is a shameful disgrace and one we must fight head-on. Now, the fact that the Pentagon workers, be they civil or military or otherwise, already submit to a gauntlet of daily scrutiny just going in and out of work, is it fair then to the tens of thousands who are completely innocent to further allow that much more government intrusion into their digital devices or the things that they're dealing with on their computers?
Well, remember that what's being talked about here is not an intrusion into someone's personal device or even their home. This is about saying Department of Defense computers are being misused to share, to spread, to access child pornography. And when you step into an office, whether it's a Department of Defense office or it's the offices at RT America, wherever you go into an office, you do not
made to smell various things. microwave radiation to control human behavior. To control the brain. In 1965, DARPA launched Project Pandora, which studied the possibility of using microwave radiation to control human behavior. The project reportedly ended in 1969, but DARPA's investigation of how machines can affect and possibly control the brain continues to this day. Human mind can be altered. In 1965, DARPA launched Project Pandora, which studied the possibility of using microwave radiation to control human beings.
How old I am, he reportedly responded, "I go out with girls your age all the time." Those new accusations follow Beverly Young Nelson's emotional claim on Monday that Moore sexually assaulted her when she was 16 years old and he was 30. She says it happened when he gave her a ride home from her job. But the flood of accusations began 1 week ago. Lee Korfman tells the Washington Post she was only 14 when Moore, then 32, an assistant district attorney, sexually assaulted her back in 1979. Wendy Miller says she was 14 when Moore first approached her at the mall, and was 16 when Moore asked her out